thinking back, I know it's a long time, a couple weeks before break, but these three things you're looking at right now are going to be pretty important when we look at quadrilaterals. Does anybody remember the names of any of those things that we're looking at? All right. It does not have to be a specific one, but just any that you remember what they're called. Marvin, I see your hand up. Why don't you tell us which one you remember?
Parallel line.
Is that the one on the left, in the middle, or on the right?
Middle.
Very good. That middle is parallel lines. Does anybody remember what parallel lines means? What we know about parallel lines? Somebody besides Marvin, does anybody remember what those mean? What that means, parallel sides? CJ, go ahead.
A straight line that never touches each other.
Very good. Those lines, would never touch. They're like railroad tracks. Remember, we did the signals. This was parallel. This or this. It's like field goal posts. They never touch. Anybody remember one of the other ones? Other two that are still sitting there. Cynthia, which one do you remember?
Line.
Remember, this has points on the ends. It's a piece of a line. We call that a line segment. Very good. That's the same basically as a side of a quadrilateral, which we'll get to here in a minute. And that last one, does anybody remember what those are called? Lines that intersect and form a 90-degree angle. Anybody remember what those are called? Somebody besides Marvin will be a risk taker. Make a guess. Going once.
Right.
All right. Those are perpendicular sides. And that means they intersect and form a 90-degree angle. You can see it marked right there, right? So intersecting lines that form a 90-degree angle, basically a perfect square. And what I mean by that is if you took a little square, watch this, you could actually put a square in the corner right here. I'm going to make a little square. And you could fit it perfectly in that corner. Boom, just like that, right? So perpendicular are lines that intersect to form a 90-degree angle. Those will be important with quadrilaterals. Christian, can you read our goal today for me, please?
Our goal today is to understand what makes a shape of quadrilaterals and
Identify
specific
attributes
that are seen in some quadrilaterals.
Very good. So we're going to look at some specific attributes. Those are things like qualities or characteristics of a quadrilateral that help us identify it. Later this week, we're going to work on actually giving a quadrilateral a name. All right, we're not worried about that today. We just want to focus on identifying and seeing some of those attributes in a quadrilateral. All right, so does anybody remember anything you learned? You definitely talk about quadrilaterals in third grade. Does anybody remember anything about quadrilaterals, something that makes something a quadrilateral? I'm not expecting you to be like, oh yeah, I remember this, but does anybody remember any of that? Going once, going twice. Corbin, is your hand up? Corbin, what do you remember about quadrilaterals?
That they have 4 sides.
Yep, quad means 4. So quadrilaterals are ones that have 4 sides and 4 angles, and they're all polygons. So if you think back to our polygon lesson, that means it is a closed shape and all those sides are straight sides. All right, so it's a closed shape with 4 sides and 4 angles. All right, I'm going to draw an example of one right here. All right, if you look at that, there are 4 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4. They're straight sides. That should be a little bit more straight in that corner. And you have 1, 2, 3, 4 angles, right? So every quadrilateral has 4 sides and 4 angles. So we're just going to kind of rapid fire here. look at a few examples. I'm going to ask you to tell me yes or no. Is it a quadrilateral? And I'm going to ask you to tell me why you know it is or is not a quadrilateral. So Ying, we're going to start with you. Let's look at A. Is A quadrilateral, yes or no, and why? Ying, you are still muted.
A is not a quadrilateral.
Why not? Let's look at this. Is it closed? Yes or no? Yes.
Yes.
Does it have 4 straight sides?
Yes.
Does it have 4 angles?
Yes.
Yes. So yes, A is a quadrilateral. Cynthia, B. Is B a quadrilateral?
No,
No. Why not?
because it has 3 angles and 3
3 angles and 3 sides. So Cynthia, what do we call B?
no,
What's that shape called?
triangle.
Triangle. Good. Corbin, C. Corbin, is C a quadrilateral?
Yes,
Yes. Why?
because it has 4 sides.
4 sides and 4 angles. Very good. Marvin, D. Is D a quadrilateral, Marvin? Marvin.
Yes.
Yes. Good. Why?
Because they have equal sides.
Sides don't have to be equal, but it has 4 sides and 4 angles, right? Doesn't have to be equal, just has to have 4.
Yes.
Christian, is E a quadrilateral?
No,
No. Why not?
because it has more than 4
Very good. More
sides.
than 4 sides. Derek, is F a quadrilateral?
No.
No. Why not?
It
Does it
doesn't
have-
have 4 sides.
Yeah, it doesn't have 4 sides, right? They're not straight sides. We have curves. So those curves make it so it's not even, doesn't have any sides because there's no straight sides. Very good. Alejandro, G. Is G a quadrilateral, Alejandro?
Yes,
Yes. Why?
because it has 4 sides and 4 angles.
Very good. 4 sides and 4 angles. And last one, a seal. Is H a quadrilateral? A seal. A seal. Is H a quadrilateral?
Yes.
Yes or no?
No.
No, right? Not, and 1, it has a curved side, and 2, it doesn't have 4 of them, right? So H is not a quadrilateral. So there you go. So that's just looking at, is a shape a quadrilateral? Now we're going to look at what are some of the attributes we use when looking to kind of sort these things. All right. So the first 2 we're going to look at is or opposite sides and opposite angles. These are sides that are directly across from each other and direct angles that are directly across from each other. So I'm going to label the angles 1, 2, 3, and 4, and the sides 1, 2, 3, and 4. So here's the sides: 1, 2, 3, 4, and here's our angles: 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right. So are there any opposite sides in our rectangle? sides that are exactly across from each other? Yes or no, folks? Do we have sides directly across from each other in the rectangle?
No.
Yes, look. 1 and 3 are opposite sides. And then 4 and 2 are opposite sides. Opposite sides just means they're directly across. Here's the tricky thing about rectangles. Opposite angles and rectangles and squares are the diagonal ones. So 1 and 4 are opposites, and 3 and 2 are opposites in a rectangle or in a square. All right. Most shapes are just going to be straight across from each other. But in a square or in a rectangle, it's the opposite ones. All right. You may not need to know that as much as it's important to know these next 4 we're going to look at. All right. The first one is, maybe if it'll load, congruent angles. Those are angles that are equal in measurement. All right. And so I don't want, I'm not going to ask anybody to read them all out, but I just want to know, I'm going to go through and we're going to decide with a thumbs up or thumbs down, does each shape have congruent angles? Congruent means equal. You don't have to turn your volume on or unmute yourself, but everybody, what does congruent mean? Go ahead and say it. It means equal. Congruent means equal, okay? So let's look, and I'm going to give you, I want you to give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I'm not asking are all 4 angles congruent. I'm just asking are any of the angles congruent. So I'm going to go ahead and mark all these angles. And I'm asking you, are any angles in these shapes you see below equal? All right, let's look at the first one. I'm going to put a star there. Give me a thumbs up. Are any of the angles in that shape equal? Yes or no? Thumbs up or thumbs down? You guys got to participate. We talked about that this morning as our Zoom expectations. I don't see anyone. Cynthia right now, when I scroll through, is the only person give me a thumbs up or thumbs down. That first shape, are there any congruent or equal angles? Yeah, all 4 of them, right? They're all 4 congruent. So we have, that's a yes. Shape 2, the square. Are any of those angles congruent or equal? They're all marked as a right angle. So yes, they're all congruent. There are congruent angles. Trickier ones now. Looking at the next shape. Are any of those angles equal or congruent? Christian's got a thumbs up. Thank you. I don't see anybody else. Cecile's got a thumbs up. CJ. Yeah, opposite angles are, right? So if I look, those angles that are opposites are congruent, and these angles that are opposites are congruent. Those are equal. Trickiest one, last one. Are any of those angles you see congruent on that last one? Thumbs up for yes, thumbs down for no. Are any of those angles equal? Tricky one, right? Yes, there are. This is where you got to pay close attention. They're not the opposites though, right? This angle up here and this angle up here are equal. This angle down here and this angle down here are equal. So there are congruent angles. They're not opposites like they are in all the other ones, but there are congruent angles. Now we're looking at congruent sides. Are there sides that are equal? We're going to go back to our first shape, our rectangle. Does that rectangle have sides that are equal? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Again, I need everybody showing me. Right now I see 3 people holding thumbs up. Very good. Yeah, opposite sides are congruent, right? This top one right here and this bottom one are equal, and this one right here and this one are equal. Square, are there any equal sides? Yes or no? Yeah, all sides of a square are equal. Looking at the next one, trickier. Are any of the sides in this next shape equal? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Yeah, these opposite sides are equal, right? So this one and this one, those are equal. And this one and this one are equal. All right. And the last one, this is the trickiest of all, the trapezoid. Are there any equal sides? We know, obviously, we can look at it. Are the top and the bottom, are those equal?
Nope.
No. But are these sides equal right here? Even though they're not facing the same direction, are those the same length? Yes, so that's a yes. These are all have or congruent angles and congruent signs. Again, congruent means equal. Last one, and this is where things get a little bit tricky. We're looking at parallel and perpendicular sides. Remember, parallel sides means sides that would go on forever and never touch. Perpendicular make a 90-degree angle. You are not always going to see if a shape is marked with a right angle. Sometimes it's not going to be marked with that little square. You're going to have to look at it and figure it out on your own. So looking at these, we have to see, would these be a perfect square? Oh, would that be a perfect square in the corner, right? Yes or no, and make that decision. So let's look at them first for parallel sides. That means, does it have sides that would go on forever and never touch? All right, give me a thumbs up or thumbs down. First, let's look at the rectangle over here. Are there parallel sides on the rectangle? Angles that would never touch, or sides that would never touch. Thumbs up or thumbs down. I didn't see everybody participating. I have people just staring into space or looking at their screen. Yeah, right? This top one right here, bottom, those would never touch. And these sides right here would never touch. So yes, parallel. What about the next one right here? Parallel sides that would never touch, yes or no? Yes. What about the next one? Are there parallel sides that would never touch? Yes or no? Yes, very good. What about the square? Are there parallel sides? Yes. Last one is this little kite down here. This one's tricky. Are there parallel sides that would never touch? If those went on forever, would they ever touch? No, there are parallel sides. In fact, all of these, even if I went like this, those are parallel. Even if I went like this, those are parallel, right? So those will go on forever and never touch. Now, the trickier one, we're looking for perpendicular sides. So we're looking to see, would these sides, do they create a 90-degree angle or a perfect square? We're going to start with the rectangle. Are there perpendicular sides in a rectangle that create that perfect square? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? So a lot of people not participating, just staring. Thank you. Yes, thank you, Alejandro and Christian. You guys did a good job. And Cynthia, every time your thumbs up or down. What about the trapezoid down here? Do we see any 90-degree angles or perpendicular sides that make that perfect square that would fit exactly in the corner? No. Very good. Nope, none there. Let's look at the next shape. Do we see any of those perpendicular sides where we see a 90-degree perfect square? Yes or no? No. Very good. All right. Looking at the next one. Do we see any of those 90-degree angle perfect squares in a square? Yes or no? Yes, that one has perpendicular sides. All right. And look down here. Any perpendicular sides? Nope. All right. So your job today is going to be to identify some of those attributes. So I'm going to walk you through it, and then I'm going to let you do that assignment on your own. All right. So you're going to go to Canvas in just a second. We're going to do the first one together. Okay. So you're going to go to Canvas. And you're going to click on Monday. And you're going to click on math. All right. And then you're going to click on attributes of quadrilaterals. And you're going to go to, I'm going to go to preview here. So notice that the questions say, number 1 says, use a picture below and identify which is not an attribute of the given quadrilateral. So we're seeing which one we do not see. So parallel sides. Do we see parallel sides on this rectangle? Yes or no? Yes, so that's not the answer. Are there perpendicular sides that create that perfect little square in the corners? Yes, yes, right? Are opposite sides congruent? Remember, congruent means equal. So are these opposite sides equal on the rectangle? Yes. Are all sides congruent? Are all sides equal? Are all 4 of those sides on that rectangle equal? No. So our answer that's not true is all sides congruent. Okay? So that's like that, the first 4 questions. And then question 5 says draw 4 different quadrilaterals that have at least one set of parallel sides. Upload a video or a picture. Okay, Corbin, your mom sent me a message. I got the message. You're good to go on that. Okay. So that it's okay. So that is your job. Make sure you draw all 4 pictures. Before you do that, it's a little different than it was before. Canvas changed. You've got to go to Insert, Media, Upload, Record Media. All right. So Insert, Media, Upload, and Record Media. I'm going to stay on my computer while you're working on this assignment. You have 25 minutes before we take a break before reading to get this done. All right. While you're working, if anything comes up you need help with, just unmute yourself and let me know. Okay. And let me know, please, when you finished it so I can check off that you submitted the assignment. All right. When you finished it, let me know and I'll direct you on what you need to do. All right. Anybody have any questions? All right. Go ahead and get started. I'm right here if you need my help.